Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So excited to have you because today we're doing another fun DIY and we are building a fireplace in our primary bedroom. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this one did give me a little bit of run for my money. So it's not full tutorial style, but I got most of it on camera. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, and let's hop into today's episode. Guys, let's take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor of our video, who's Skillshare. Now, if you don't know what Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can go and take any course in anything that you could think of. I promise they've got thousands of members across more than 150 countries, y'all. And I'm telling you, if you want to learn a new skill, I know a lot of you all always ask me, about gardening and stuff like that. Skillshare is the place where you can go and learn all about it. I have been using Skillshare for a couple of years now, primarily because I've always wanted to be a better creator. Like, I've been on Instagram for years, really building that platform. So I really dive into things like photography and videography, and Skillshare is the resource that I use to go and learn the skills that I'm looking for. Here recently, I've been really digging into being a better videographer and a better editor, and I've been taking an advanced video editing course by instructor Halise Neves that's been teaching me how to do some more intermediate stuff in Adobe Premiere, and I absolutely love it. But if you're not interested in learning like photography and videography, I'm telling you, there is something there that will suit you in whatever part of life you're in. I'm talking courses to help you in your business, to help you start a business, to help you do some professional and personal development. If there's something you're looking for, Skillshare has it, I swear. I wanted to stop and share them with you today because we've been talking about deals for the holidays for the past couple of weeks. And I think this deal in particular is one of those deals that could really be impactful for you. It's not about acquiring stuff and bringing things into your house. I mean, it could be, but this particular deal is more about you. It's investing in you. It's taking the opportunity to get 50% off of their annual membership, which they are already more than affordable, but being able to take 50% off of their annual membership and really dig into you for the next year. Who don't want that? If I'm gonna go and spend my coins and bring a bunch of stuff in, then certainly I can take a few of those coins and invest them in myself. So invest in yourself this holiday season. For a limited time, there's a discount code down in the description where you can save 50% off of an annual membership and really do something special for you for the next year. So that's the sponsor, guys. Let's hop back into today's video. All right, so let's do a little bit of planning. So here is where we are right now. I've moved the dresser over. It's not gonna stay there. It just has to be right there because my closet is cuckoo for cuckoo puffs. So that's another discussion for another time. But I wanted to get the fireplace installed because it's cold. But eventually this will be a sitting area over where the dresser is. We'll have that beautiful view. But today we're going to kind of focus on where the fireplace is going to go. I taped off the wall just to get an idea of how I wanted it centered to the wall. I'm going for a really modern look. So here's the drawing. I always kind of start with the drawing to kind of determine the dimensions of what I'm going to do, which will also help me understand how much wood I'm going to need. So I'll show you the inspiration in just a second, but in the beginning, my first thought was to do Venetian plaster. Then I found out Tim had to leave and go out of town for work. So I was like, okay, well, we can just paint it, which is what you see here. But then when he came back from work, because it took me so long to get this built, he was like, babe, just do what you really want to do. And if it's plaster that you want, then let's do plaster. So in the final hour, I decided to actually go with the Venetian plaster, and I'll tell you all about that later. But here's where we're going. So we got to get started cutting some wood. So I am not going to do full voiceover as far as the wood cuts are concerned. I'll include all of the details as far as the the dimensions of the fireplace and the cuts that I made down in the description. This was the first time that I did this, so I had to do this a couple of times as far as framing, and framing is so important. But really the materials that you're gonna need, I went with 2x4s. I built this with 2x4s, plywood, and plaster. That's it. Those were the three main materials that I needed. Getting it framed up to hold the actual fireplace was something that I kind of struggled with because y'all know math is a challenge for me. But what you can really do, I love this because after I got it up under my belt, I was like, oh, this is so easy. We're gonna do it again upstairs in the game room area. And when I do it in the game room area at the top of the year, I'll give you like a blow by blow. This is what you should do if you're looking to kind of do this yourself, but it really is easy. So we did 2x4s. We got this pocket hole because you are going to want to have pocket holes. Now we went the cheap route and got this one. I think it was like 13 bucks or something like that. But Craig does make a pocket hole jig that I think we're going to invest in. It was like 80 bucks. And I was like, I wasn't sure that I was going to do this again, but after finishing it, now I know I'm going to do it again. So I'll definitely go and invest in the big Craig pocket hole jig. But what you see me doing here is kind of laying out the frame for it, because you build the frame before you put it on a wall. So I built the back structure of the frame in the garage on the floor. Then we attach it to the wall. And then after it's attached to the wall, you install the fireplace, check for whether or not it fits real good, all that good stuff. And then you go from there. So we did all of our cuts, made all of our holes for our pocket holes. That's what, as you can see, I've connected this to the 2x4, and this was like, it could have went a lot faster had I've gotten the other jig, but it is what it is. But we went through, drilled a whole bunch of pocket holes so that we can connect the frame together. And then we're going to connect the back part of the frame to the wall because that's the easiest way. I think that was easiest for me. And then when I was making mistakes, I was able to take the front part off and then make my edits and then put the front part back on. So I'll show you when we get to the mistakes. I'll come back and talk through what that looks like. But for now, you can just enjoy the video, and I'll be back when it's time to kind of tell you what we're doing.
If I ever said enough times, I can never let you go when you're not mine. Yeah, falling in love with you every time. When I look into your eyes and see a paradise, I can be your nighttime lover.
So now that all of the cuts are made, I actually am taking the floorboards off to make room for the frame, and then mounting the back part of the frame to the studs in the wall. So I marked off on the wall where our studs were, and I used some construction screws that were 2.5 inches long to attach this frame, this stud, because this is just a bunch of studs, to the actual studs in the wall to secure it so that we would have something to drill into and apply the plywood to when it's time to mount the actual fireplace. So that's what you see us doing here. So here's the first mistake. Well, before I get to the mistake, let me tell you about the fireplace, because this fireplace was sent to us by a company called RW Flames, which I had seen them all over the YouTube, and I absolutely loved them. And I was so excited when they reached out and asked if I wanted a fireplace, because it was already in my plans to build one. And this just kind of put me on the good foot to go ahead and get it done. So I have the 50-inch recessed fireplace. And what I love about it is that It really is simple. So you can find this fireplace on Amazon. I'll leave the link down below. But I just want to kind of give you some of the features because this is an electric fireplace. So it will plug into the wall. And what I was grateful for is when we had the house built, we did like our TV prep. So we have plugs up top where the TV are. And then we have plugs down below because this does emit heat. So it's going to need its own kind of like power source. So I had a whole plug free and available down where we were putting the fireplace in order to plug this in. Now, this can be mounted directly on the wall if you didn't want to do any framing around it, but y'all know I'm extra and I have my ideas of what I want to do. So hence why you see us building this whole framing structure to actually put it into. So initially when you get it, I just plugged it in to test it to make sure it's good to go. Once we know that it's good to go, the fireplace can actually sit on 2x4s. Which is what I thought I was going to do. So I had my dimensions off just a little bit. So this initial structure that you see in the back, I have it framed for the fireplace sitting off of 2x4s. But what I didn't take into account is that there needs to be some space between the material that I'm gonna, like the plywood. I use 1/2-inch plywood. To kind of enclose the fireplace. So what I didn't take into account when I was doing that was the fact that I needed that 1/2-inch space. So I had to build the structure out some, which then meant I needed to build some support in between the actual framing structure to hold on to the fireplace. But after I got the structure built, it was really, really simple. Like this was the easiest mount ever. Like it comes with a mounting bar, a mounting plate that's attached that's got like 6 or 7 screws, which is why I built the framing structure so I can screw directly into the studs. It's got, I can't remember how many settings that it has on here, but it's remote controlled. The power source is on the front, so this can go like completely into the wall because the heat comes out of the front. So you have a power button for safety on the front, but you've got so many settings that you can set it to, like the colors change, like it's a whole vibe. So the color of the rocks change, the color of the flames change. You can adjust the speed settings, you can dim it, like it really brings a whole vibe to the bedroom. In our first house that we owned, we had a fireplace in the bedroom. And I always said when I got back to the place that I wanted to be, I would want to add, like where I knew we were going to be for a little while, I wanted that fireplace in our bedroom because it's just, it's, you know, it's romantic, right? It provides like a whole little space for you to kind of chill with. So I was really grateful to get this one. I'll leave the link in the description if you're looking for a really easy mount. Mounting was super simple. Once I figured out how to get the glass off, because that is a little, it's challenging. Like it ain't going nowhere. This fireplace is safe. It's not designed for, like I didn't screw it in because I do want the ability to be able to take the glass off, but it is incredibly simple to install. And we absolutely love it. So you just see Tim and I here, unscrewing all of the parts that's necessary in order to get the glass off. And then once we got the glass off, we mounted it to our first structure, which we realized was wrong. And then we had to restructure, and I had to reframe that by myself because Tim had to leave. But anyways, shout outs to RW Flames for my beautiful fireplace. I absolutely love it. And if you're looking for a quick fireplace to add to your space, then I would encourage you to go grab them because this is a fireplace that I think is well worth the investment and it's super, super affordable. So the link's down in the description to check them out. Let's get back to y'all watching us struggle to get this glass off and then getting it mounted to the wall. So once we got the glass off, again, we mounted it to the wall. So you'll see that I kind of put a stud going across the back initially because I thought I was just going to mount the fireplace directly to that stud and it would be all good. But after I kind of played with it, I realized the spacing was off just a little bit. So I was going to have to take it down and actually reframe it. By the time this night was over, I was kind of tired. So I was like, okay, I'll deal with framing and everything, tomorrow. And from there, I kind of came back and corrected my errors. And then once the errors were corrected, I was able to go in and then enclose it with the plywood.
Something in your smile that it makes me wanna come over. Can I come over? I wanna come over. Thinking about your ocean. Swimming pool is closed and I'm in the deep end. The waves are washing over. I know I'm not sober. Can I come closer? I wanna come over.
So it's the next day, and what you see me doing now is kind of creating and I don't want to call it suspension because it's not really suspension. I went back and I created some support down below with the 2x4 and some support beams. I don't even know if that's the correct term, but some support blocks underneath it because the fireplace is actually going to sit on this 2x4. And then I move that horizontal support that you see up top where the bracket is, I move that forward. So I install some 2x4s on the inside of the frames on the left and the right side. And then I just use pocket holes to connect that horizontal support to the 2x4s. And then I put some braces in the back to provide some support for the back horizontal plate so that the fireplace wouldn't shift and move forward or move backwards. So the 2x4s that you see me installing right now under that brace would provide like an anchor for the fireplace to sit on so it didn't shift forwards and backwards. And then it would also provide some support for the weight for the actual fireplace because once it's connected to the bracket and the faceplate is on, it's a little weighty. It's not heavy, but it is a little weighty. And you don't want that pulling on the structure of your fireplace, eventually causing sags and stuff. So I just kind of went in and reinforced the build with some additional 2x4s to ensure that it was going to be sturdy once it was enclosed and to ensure that it wasn't going anywhere. My math is sometimes off, so I had to go back and kind of skim these down. But once I got them skimmed down, they were perfect. They were just what I needed them to be. And the structure actually is rock solid. Like this thing ain't going nowhere. I absolutely love it. This is what it should look like if you're going to frame it and not mount it on the wall and you're kind of building a surround out. The depth of the fireplace ended up being 11 inches. So I had to build that additional support for the fireplace to sit on. So now that I have it correct, I was able to go and use my plywood to encase it in. And I'm so sorry, guys. I thought I was filming when I was putting the additional layers of plywood on to get the actual design of the structure. And I was not. The camera was off. So this was all that I could get of the fireplace actually being surrounded. But after I got all of the plywood on and got it, holes filled and stuff like this, this is what it looks like. So the design is in place now. And now that the design is in place, I can move into like sanding and getting it prepped for priming and putting the actual plaster on. So that's what I'm gonna do now. This took me all week to build, so every night I was so nervous about breaking the glass and I did not want to get dust on the inside. Every night my crazy self would put the rocks back in, I would put the faceplate back on because I would literally turn it on. I was so excited that it was built. So every day when I was working on it, I would have to come and disassemble it but it was all worth it, like all completely worth it. So what you see me doing now, this is the plaster that I use. I use the Venetian Plaster by Valspar. I got it from Lowe's. I'll link it down below in the description. Now this plaster has to be tinted, and I use the color Onyx as the tint because I wanted that kind of concrete look, and I wanted to play off of the tile that's in my bathroom. And I'll show you that in later videos, but I kind of wanted an organic feel in here because in the bedroom, I really want to go like in our primary bedroom, bathroom, and closet. Ultimately, the goal, once we get it all together, is to be really spa-like and really natural and organic. And I wanted the fireplace, because it's the focal point of this wall, to kind of add that organic feel. So it looks like concrete. So it's plaster, but the final look looks like concrete, and it's full of texture. And I absolutely love it. So what you see me doing now is getting ready to sand down all the holes. I thought my sander would connect to my vacuum because this is so messy. OMG, sanding is the worst, but you don't have a choice when you're building this in your room. Usually I would sand like in another area, but you have absolutely zero options to do that. So I had to sand in the room. What I should have done, however, was cover up everything. I covered the TV, I covered the fireplace. I did not cover the dresser, so I had a lot of cleanup to do afterwards. But open a window and make sure you wear a ventilation mask and put your bonnet on, for God's sakes, because you will have sand all in your hair. So all I'm doing, because for plaster, it has to be completely smooth. I'm going in and I filled all the holes and I'm sanding down all of the caulking that I use joint compound to fill all of the holes and the gaps and stuff like that. So I'm just sanding all of that down, getting it smoothed and getting it ready. And this is what it looks like now that everything is sanded down and ready to go. So now that it's sanded down and ready to go, we're going to move on to actually priming it. So for the plaster, they have a special primer that you can purchase, but you really need a latex-based primer is what you need. And if you're gonna do this with the plaster, with this particular plaster, you can use a flat paint. So we had some flat paint that's the same color of the walls that acts as a primer. So I just primed it with that and went through and I just applied one layer of primer. I didn't want to put too much primer on. Because this was new wood and like plywood, I wanted to be able to have a layer. Now, this isn't going in the bathroom. Some people would waterproof it, but it's not going in the bathroom, so it wasn't a big deal. So here we are at the point of no return. I am opening the plaster and praying that I get this right. I was so stinking nervous about this application because I've heard horror stories. And I will say that plaster is not easy to work with initially, and you have got to wear your patience hat. It took me probably 3 hours, maybe 4, maybe 5 to complete the application because it's not like painting, so it's not like you're using a roller. I literally this is a joint compound, like the putty knife, and you have to go on and apply it to your surface in small scrapes. Now, the key is the first layer, you just want to get it up. Don't be trying to design nothing. Just get it up, get it on the walls so that it can get on and dry. And what I do love about this plaster that I was using is a 30-45 minute dry time. So within 45 minutes, the layers would be dry. The first layer took the longest to dry, and I think I did like 3 layers. So the second layer dries really quick, and the third layer dries even faster. So you got to move quick with this stuff because you don't have a lot of time. And as you can see, I'm using this little bitty putty knife. So this is a workout like nobody's business, but the afterlook is absolutely worth it. Now, the only other place that I am going to use plaster in the house is going to be in the primary bathroom. And for that application, I'm probably going to get somebody to do it. I don't know that I'm going to tackle that DIY because it is time consuming. And my walls, there's a big big, like we got to skim coat and stuff to get texture off. So I don't know if I'll have the patience to do that. But for something like a fireplace, I would absolutely do it again. So like if somebody wanted me to do this for them and they wanted plaster, it'd be no big deal because I understand how it works now. I used Venetian plaster from Lowe's because that's what I could get my hands on. But I'm sure there are so many plaster companies out there that you can go with. But I love this one. The application was easy. And once I won't say it was easy because this is super messy. Like I had to throw away the gloves. I had to throw away everything after it was all said and done. So if you're going to do this, you absolutely want to use gloves. Make sure the room is ventilated. And the gloves that you use like the disposable ones because these are like my cutting gloves and I actually had to throw them away. So this takes a lot, but you got to get it done. Just apply the first coat. Once the first coat is on and it's dry, then you can come back and do your second and third coat. That's where you'll kind of do the design. So on this part that you see me doing right now, I kind of did like circular motions. And then on the rest of it, I just did straight up and down. And it provided a really good texture and contrast in texture after it was all done. Also, make sure you do more coverage as far as your floor is concerned. I was dropping plaster everywhere, so my poor son had to be there with the little green to pick up my mess because you don't want this stuff to dry on your carpets. But outside of that, once I got the hang of it, it was pretty simple. So I'm just gonna let you watch me get the plaster on the walls, and then we'll be back with the final reveal.
I make you feel like no one other. We can be nighttime lovers. Nobody has to know nothing about us. Accompanied by the birds and the summer night, I'll drive you home before the sunrise. I can be a midnight lover. 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 I can be your midnight. Ooh, if I ever said enough times, I can never let you go when you're not mine. We can be nighttime lovers. Nobody has to know nothing about us. Accompanied by the birds in the summer night, I'll drive you home before. I can be your nighttime lover. Nobody has to know nothing about us. The pleasures I will make you discover. I'll make you feel like no one other.
All right, y'all, so here's the final look. so obsessed. Oh, this is beautiful. There's so much texture. I love the cement color. Like, it is everything I wanted it to be and thought it was going to be. So I am extremely pleased. Huge shout out to RW Flames again for sending me the fireplace. And I can't wait to get into my bedroom and actually do the rest of it now. And when we do the next one upstairs, I'll give you more of a tutorial. But in the meantime, let me know what you think down in the comments. Bye for now.